Hello, everyone. My name is Jordyn Smith, and I am the voice and the astrologer behind Nonconformist Conscience, the YouTube channel, and the webpage. We have a lot going down leading up to the new moon in Leo next week, which I will go over then. I have tried to make this video for 2 days and I have had so many technical difficulties, so hopefully this time this works. So let me dive into your weekly forecast. This week we have Mercury and Pallas Athene conjunct in the sign of Virgo, and this is going to be the first of 3 because we are in the pre-shadow period of Mercury retrograde. So we're going to have 3 opportunities to explore what this means in our lives. So during this conjunction, there is going to be a first quarter trine to Jupiter and Uranus that are also in a conjunction. It is a wide conjunction between Jupiter and Uranus, but it's a conjunction nonetheless. And like I said, it's trine this Mercury and Pallas Athene. So let me break this down a little bit. Mercury is our logical, linear, short-term memory. And it is the lower octave of Uranus, which it is, like I said, in a first quarter trine to. And Uranus is our long-term memory, and it can be irrational because it is where we can get downloads. It holds all of our memories, and it's also considered our higher mind. So we have the higher octave Uranus and the lower octave Mercury in a dynamic conversation. And also with Mercury being conjunct Pallas Athene, this is what we call an octave transformer. So the way I like to think of this is Pallas Athene is the bridge between. And Pallas Athene is really about keen insight, keen wisdom. It's one of the goddesses. And with this conjunction to Mercury, it can help us to rationalize and simplify the information that is being imparted to us right now. Especially whenever Mercury and Uranus are in this dynamic conversation, we can have bursts of information come to the forefront for all of us right now. And it can seem irrational. It can be just thoughts kind of dropping into our head, us being like, I don't really know what this means. And with this trine in a first quarter between Uranus and this conjunction between Mercury and Pallas Athene, it really helps us to simplify the information and put it into workable terms, into a workable function. Seeing also that this is Virgo. Mercury and Pallas are in the sign of Virgo, which is yin energy, which is energy moving inward. And it's the analytical, whereas Gemini, the other ruler of Mercury, is more the intake of information and how we classify things. The Virgo side of Mercury is taking that information and internalizing it, analyzing it, and then having discernment over it. So with Jupiter conjunct Uranus, both in the sign of Taurus, trining this Mercury and Pallas Athene conjunction, we can have profound insight into what it is we are needing to do right now, how we're needing to make a choice. And really what helps us is to listen to this inner voice of Taurus. It's also helping us liberate from old thoughts that are really impeding on us moving forward. It's helping us liberate from thoughts of where we can have perfection paralysis right now. And it is helping us liberate from where there is an inner critic. that is getting in the way of us making a choice. And with Pallas Athene in this mix, with the intuitive and the objective dynamics of Jupiter and Uranus, and then trining this Mercury and Pallas Athene conjunction, it can really help us understand what it is we're supposed to be doing right now, what choices we need to make that are practical, Virgo, that help us ground, Taurus, and to work them into our daily life and to create habits that help us purge the habituations of the ways in which we think that could be getting in the way of us moving forward or making a choice or having discernment around a choice. That also leads me to want to talk about, we still have Pluto square the nodal axis with the emphasis on the South Node in the sign of Libra. Pluto is in Capricorn, it is retrograde, it is ruled by Saturn in the sign of Pisces, which is also retrograde. So what I want to say about this in terms of everything that's going on this week, especially in regard to making choices and liberating from old thought patterns or habitual thought patterns that get in the way of our choice making, is that this is a time with Pluto square the nodal axis, and like I said, an emphasis on the South Node because it was the last node that Pluto was conjunct to. This is looking at our karmic dynamics regarding our relationships with others, and then with the South Node in Libra being ruled by this Venus retrograde, our relationship with self and how we self-actualize or creatively self-actualize right now. Meaning, what relationships need to begin, what relationships need to end, where we see imbalances, where we need to take responsibility, and how a lot of this can stem from seeing as Saturn is the ruler of Pluto in the sign of Pisces, the man-made constructs or social constructs or man-made laws regarding how we do relationship, how we are involved in relationship with ourselves, and also seeing as it's Pisces, how we're in relationship with spirit or source. And so there can be just a tremendous amount of stuff coming up for us to clear it out, to have this opportunity of clearing karmic dynamics out that have created imbalances that stem from our conditioning around man-made social constructs, whether that be in our family, in society, culturally, and whatnot. This is also a time on a collective level that I wanted to talk about. Over the next 18 months, we are going to be seeing more imbalances within society. And this is so that we can reflect on them, Capricorn. And then as Pluto moves into Aquarius, hopefully we can liberate from these types of imbalances that are created by man-made constructs that really create strife. We're going to be seeing this with how we treat the world, our relationship with Gaia. That is a relationship. We are going to be seeing racial divisions even more so. And we're going to be seeing gender disparities as well. All of these kind of man-made social constructs are going to be really at the forefront. And so it's important for each one of us to do our own individual work and to help create a ripple effect within society to help create balance and harmony. So, like I said, there are a lot of things coming up for each one of us to be able to work through them, to liberate, to really utilize our intuition, our inner voice. Uranus, Jupiter conjunction in the sign of Taurus, that is ruled by Venus and Leo, also retrograde. So there's this huge internalization process going down right now in order for us to reflect and objectify, and then to discern and to make correct choices. And seeing as Pluto is in Capricorn, this is also to make correct judgment calls as a way to instill our own natural authority and our sovereignty. So these are kind of the dynamics that we're looking at this week. We also have Venus square Uranus and a first quarter square. And so this is helping us to understand and objectify the needs and values and beliefs, seeing as Jupiter is also in this mix a little bit since it is ruled by this Venus. What we believe correlates to what we value in life. And what we value in life correlates to what we need as well. And so if we are looking at social, religious, cultural, and familial conditioning stemming from man-made law or social constructs, there's this need to really be able to objectify if this has created trauma in our life. Uranus square Venus, how this has affected each one of us on a personal level with our relationship to self, Taurus, and also how that can be projected out into our other relationships. So there's this need to really be in this time period of reparenting ourselves, of self-actualization through that, and to understand on a deeper level what it is that we really need and what types of values and beliefs do we have that we need to rebel or liberate against. And also, what kind of philosophical or cosmological value systems that feel natural to us and feel like a truth instead of a belief, that we can really start to construct our own new values and needs around. For some of us, we're already doing this. And so this is just continuing to purge this process, to purge old ideals that are revolving around these types of dynamics. This is also pulling in that Saturn as well. So right now we can all be really re-experiencing old dynamics as a way to help us come into an awareness about what it is that we're needing to purge and purify through objectifying our emotional dynamics so that we can make this choice. And Pallas Athene conjunct this Mercury, which I said is going to happen 3 times, really helps us to do this, to have discernment, to really simplify the information that's coming to us, especially with Uranus and Jupiter in the mix and then squaring Venus. We can have these aha moments where maybe we didn't feel like we had a lot of clarity in the past. And this week really helps us to have a deepening of our clarity. We can be connecting dots and we can be coming into awareness about something that maybe we were struggling with or didn't even know was there. And it's for us to make new choices. That is part of evolution, is to make new choices. We tend to repeat history because it's known and familiar. And this week really speaks to the ability to have more discernment and to make correct judgment around new choices and what it is we need to do in order to continue this process of individuation and creative self-actualization through understanding what it is we truly do need on a personal level, how we can meet that need, and how we can clear out the dynamic of projecting or having expectations from another, the South Node and Libra. So there will be choices. First quarter squares can create a sense of tension within, and it's to get you to act, right? A square is where we need to act on something. And this is also with Venus squaring Uranus. Maybe some of us are needing to create separation from another, maybe not for a long time, maybe just for a little bit, in order to really have clarity about what we're needing to do, what choices we need to make. Because when we detach Uranus, it gives us space to be objective instead of staying subjective in something. We all know whenever we're in really close proximity to something or someone, it can, the most extreme is like enmeshment and codependency. But even leading up to that, or an awareness around that, close proximity can sometimes make it hard for us to make a correct judgment call, because maybe we're taking on the values and needs of others. And whenever we create a little bit of space or a detachment from the situation, we can have profound insights that we might not have if we were still in the same space. So this is a week where some of us might be feeling like we need a little bit more space. We need to detach from the situation we're in, so that way we can have the awareness that we're needing. Also, Jupiter is in a first quarter trine to Mercury. Like I said, while this is going on, this is going to really help us understand what it is we're needing to purge and to purify that has been habitual in our lives. This is also really understanding, for some of us, what our own natural truths are. What and where have we bought into a belief that really isn't whom we are? So there's this need to live authentically. And with the first quarter trine, this is about putting it in the day, practicing it in the day-to-day, that, the here and now, and having an integration of our honesty and our authenticity, and making choices that stem from that place of authenticity and sincerity. We also have Neptune still in conjunct the South Node. So there's yet another culminating dynamic, but also this is a dynamic of where we're really called to listen to not only the inner voice, but to understand that our inner voice is connected to our soul, and our soul is part of the source of all things. So really paying attention so that a readjustment and realignment of our values can happen. This is also, I've been talking about this can be where some of us are needing to really practice the supreme form of giving, where if we're listening to where someone's coming from and we're actually hearing them and we're watching their actions, we can make a better judgment call or discern a choice to make a correct judgment call around how it is we're supposed to give. Sometimes that means giving someone else space, because what we've been doing is perpetuating their own cycle, and it's impeding on our own growth and their growth. So there's a lot to be thinking about this week. We also have an inferior conjunction with Venus and the Sun. A lot of people have been talking about this. This is, as this conjunction happens, I'm looking at this chart. As Venus approaches the Sun and then passes over the Sun again, this is the inferior conjunction, meaning that in the sky, we're not going to be able to see Venus for a few days because it's passing between the orb of the Sun and the Earth. So it looks like it's hiding, and that's why it's called an inferior conjunction. And so this is what a lot of people are talking about, Venus entering the underworld. So with everything that's going on right now, this can really be where we get to work on our shadow work, which is a terminology a lot of people use. To me, this is really looking at our inner psychology and emotional dynamics that maybe we're not really wanting to look at, because it can challenge our beliefs about ourselves. Also seeing as Jupiter is in Taurus and is ruled by this Venus. So this is an opportunity to really analyze and go deep within the cocoon or the womb of ourselves, and to really deeply connect and to have discernment around what it is that we're needing to do and what it is that we're not needing to do anymore. This is really looking at how we treat ourselves and how we treat another. This can be like this kind of dark eros that we're discovering about ourselves for some of us. This can also be just this realignment with who we are by having the willingness to look at all of us in a complete sense. I know, and I know that this is pretty much a universal experience, seeing as like I counsel my clients and I have friends, is we can tend to have like dark souls of the night, is what some people call them, or just extreme evolutionary junctures. And for some, this can be coming up right now for them to really reconnect and ground with the truth of who they are. That means that for some of us, when we come into awareness about how our conditioning actually affects how we treat another or how we treat ourselves, there can be a feeling of shame or guilt, but there can also be essential humility. And with Saturn and Pisces ruled by Neptune, all in dynamic conversations as this week is unfolding, we need to remember to give ourselves grace and to also take responsibility that we chose to come into certain dynamics in order to liberate from them, whether they be good or bad. It is all a part of our evolutionary journey, and none of us are perfect. We all have things about ourselves that need to be exposed in order for us to reveal who we are. The undistorted versions of ourselves, which takes a lot of lifetimes, but this can really help kickstart it. And so it's meeting ourselves with compassion and grace as maybe we have clarity around things about ourselves that might challenge our belief about ourselves at this moment in time. But self-forgiveness is the key, and forgiveness of another. It doesn't mean that you have to forget, but there can be deep wisdom and profound insight into a lot of dynamics, and understanding why we've called in certain dynamics as Venus makes this inferior conjunction and moves into the underworld. The last thing I want to talk about, and I don't talk about this often on my channel because I feel like sometimes it can be a little confusing for people who are new students, but I work with the nodes of all of the planets and the asteroids that I use because it gives a profound picture and insight into ever deeper levels of our past. So like when I have a client, I'm looking at their south nodes of Venus, Mercury, Mars, all of Neptune, everything, where they're placed, the aspects that they make, their planetary rulers. And then I'm also looking at the north nodes and also the natal position of Mercury, Venus, Mars, all of that. And it gives a complete picture of the tension that a soul might be feeling as the past, future are colliding in the present moment. And I want to talk a little bit about the transiting south node of Venus, because we have the lunar south node in Libra, ruled by Venus retrograde. And the south node of Venus right now is actually in the sign of Libra as well. And it is conjunct the asteroid Lilith. And this gives us deep and profound insight into what can be coming up for some of us. So Lilith is where we return to our soul center, our root structure. Everyone has a natal Lilith. It is something I work with very often. It is a class that I'm doing at the Evolutionary Astrology Conference coming up in October. But Lilith in the sign of Libra is really wanting us to rebalance and harmonize in order to return to our center. This means to look at the distortions of our masculine and feminine energies and to create create or liberate from those distortions in order to have balance and harmony within, and to call in our people, not just significant others, but our other people. So there's this profound time period of where we are wanting on a collective level to return to the center of the most natural place within each one of our souls, which is the undistorted masculine and feminine. There is a need to counteract imbalances within the collective by aligning ourselves with a Libra principle, which is giving, sharing, and inclusion. This is also doing it on a personal level. Because Lilith is conjunct the South Node and both are ruled by this Venus and Leo that is retrograde, we can be re-experiencing dynamics of where there are power struggles within a variety of our relationships that stem from distortions of the masculine and the feminine and ourselves and with others, where we're understanding how prior dynamics from early on or in past lives, that there has been imbalances created where there hasn't been giving, sharing, and inclusion. Maybe you're starting to see that the relationships that you have are not based on equality, that there are social Pluto in Capricorn ruled by Saturn, social constructs that have impeded on relationships right now. Some people, this can be dealing with work. Maybe you have a boss who's a man who gave another man a promotion, but you did a better job. Or maybe you're doing the same job as another man and he's getting paid more than you. These are all these disparages within society that are about the distorted masculine and feminine. Maybe we're in relationships where one of us is listening to where another is coming from and the other one is not doing that. So there can be this power struggle or dynamic. And really what this does is this serves a purpose to bring to the surface and these emotional dynamics that create disharmony and imbalances that stem from societal gender constructs. And this helps us to come into these moments of aha. And this is happening as Venus is in this underworld position, this inferior conjunction. And so we can really be having a deep look at how we might be having internalized misogyny, or where maybe we are feeding into dynamics that we weren't aware of. Maybe we're being a parent for someone when really they need to be able to spread their wings, and this is in a relationship. And so we're needing to go within in order to understand where these imbalances within the masculine and feminine have been, where they're surfacing, and knowing that these are long-standing old dynamics. And Lilith here is a protector of this. She is about the most undistorted, most natural sense of ourselves. It's our soul structure, and she will give us keen insight into these dynamics. It's like this it erupts from our soul. It's these thoughts that are continuously surfacing, and it's giving us insight into our situation. And so we really want to work with this. And this is in conjunct, this Lilith conjunct the South Node of Venus. So it's all of these prior life and earlier life dynamics that are surfacing. And it's in conjunct Saturn in the sign of Pisces, which is retrograde, which re-emphasizes a relive, redo in order to resolve. And it's about a culmination. And for some people, they can experience disillusioning situations right now that help them realign or readjust or self-refine in regards to coming into awareness about where this is happening specifically in their life. Now, this isn't going to happen for everyone, but if you have something at 4 degrees Pisces, or 4 degrees Libra, you are probably going to be feeling this. So this is about reflecting. This in conjunct with Saturn to the south node of Venus and Lilith is about reflecting on the dynamics that come up so that we can not only gain keen insight and wisdom through this reflection, but it's also through this direct experience. And it gives us a Libra counterpoint. And it's also really an emphasis on looking at where our conditioning has played a part in this. It's Saturn. Where conditioning has perpetuated disillusionment. This is also where some people can be experiencing how they have projected their needs or expectations onto another or vice versa. And the need is to only be attached with the truth of what is occurring so that a choice, a correct judgment can be made and a readjustment can come into place. This is also about restructuring how we do relationships with another. And we're in this period of time where in order for restructuring to happen, Saturn, we also have to do the cardinal energy, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. And this is definitely what this week is talking about with all of the retrogrades going on, these south nodes being highlighted, the south node of Venus, the lunar south node and Libra, all ruled by Venus retrograde and in dynamic conversations with these other cardinal energies. This is really a profound time to have an experience of involution. That is kind of this feeling of what happens in cardinal signs. Before we can evolve, we have to involute, meaning that evolving means forward motion, and involution means going within and working through and coming into an awareness about what it is we need to jettison from our souls, from our soul structure. And that is what this Saturn retrograde in the sign of Pisces in conjunct Lilith and the south node of Venus is really speaking to, is this deep and profound wisdom that can be imparted on us, and to really reflect on where imbalances are created and why. So this is your weekly forecast. And this is a week of deep reflection, deep inner reflection. And let's all use this very wisely. And let's give ourselves grace as we all journey through the underworld of our souls, in order for us to have growth and perpetuate our own soul evolution. And Lilith in the sign of Libra helps us to really come back into harmony with our soul and understand that our ego is not separate from it. It's emanating from our soul. And whatever is going on for each one of us on an individual level, this is such an important time to do our individuated work, because it will help the collective. We are going to be seeing more imbalances created within society. We each need to be doing our own personal work so that way we can help carry the torch through this time. Each one of us, if you found this channel, you're someone who's doing soul work, I'm willing to bet. And each one of us have chosen to come in at this time period right now. And there is a need to spread grace and compassion in the world. And there is a need to counteract the imbalances that are happening within society and within the collective. And the only way that that can happen is through this self-reflection of our own conditioning and how it's affected us. None of us are perfect. This has all affected each one of us on a soul level. And so now is the time to really dive into this underworld journey, to expose what needs to be exposed, to give ourselves grace and forgiveness, to do the inner work, and to liberate and radically alter our relationship to self and the way in which we do partnership with another. This is a very karmic time period. Lots is coming up for a lot of people regarding their relationships. And that serves as a counterpoint to point back to ourselves, to see what it is that we're needing to purge, purify, or what it takes to come back into harmony and balance. This is a time period of restructuring not only how we do partnerships, but our own personal consciousness, which helps emanate and change the collective. And this is a time period, especially with Mercury about to go retrograde, conjunct Pallas Athene. First time, it's going to do it, 2 more times. This is a time period to start doing what it is we need to do in the day-to-day and the here and now, and to make it a habit or a practical practice. And that wisdom can be imparted into each one of us if we have a sincere intention to know right now. So I hope you all have a very beautiful week, and I will see you next week to talk about the new moon. If you live in Oklahoma, I'm doing a new moon ceremony with my friend Lori, and you can email me or contact me if you want to be a part of that. Also, I have the Evolutionary Astrology conference coming up, where I already said I'll be talking about Lilith and the nodes of that asteroid Lilith. I'm doing this class with Helena Garcia. I hope to see some of you guys there, and was wondering if I wanted to say anything else. No, I don't think so. I will post a link to my website. I did not do a written report this week. I'm just doing this video, and today was my kiddo's first day of school. This week has been hectic, and I wanted to get this video out. So by God, I did it. Anyway, I will talk to you all soon. I will see you soon. Have grace and compassion. Keep going. Take it one step at a time. We all got this.